Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Jakai Williams here. If you're new here, I just relay messages that the Lord gives me concerning his people. But today's going to be a little different. The Lord has really been like pushing me to tell my testimony and how I just came to Christ and started this journey in the first place. So I did a testimony video like a year ago, but the Lord was like, I need you to do it again. Like he's really been putting it on my heart like every single day. So I gotta be obedient. Here we are now. So let's get into it. I basically grew up in church. At a very young age. I've always known about the Lord, but I just didn't know him. I knew of him, but I didn't know him. And used to go to church as a little kid. Wasn't willingly, but yeah. So, like I said, and I told a part of my testimony in the video last year. Something happened to me as a kid, and it really opened up a lot of doors that the enemy was gonna later on attach to himself to it. And and then fast forward to about 12 years old, I received the news that I needed to have heart surgery. And of course, I'm devastated. I'm a young girl. I don't know what's going on. And I'm just like, okay, God, what is going on? And at that time, I really didn't know God. Like I said, my parents were always talking to me about it. But, by that time, they were divorced, and stuff like that. I didn't grow up in a loving home, two-parent home, and stuff like that. So it was like all kind of traumas and stuff in there, still dealing with it to this day and stuff like that. But me and the Lord are working through it. And so yeah, at 12 years old, I'm being told that I need whole heart surgery. And I'm like, okay. So that's scary. At the same time, we're going to church. All of this is happening while I'm in church. So get the heart surgery done. Still going to school. Like I'm in elementary at this point. And 13 years old, I consider 13-year-old as the happiest time of my life. There was nothing going on. I was happy. I was thriving. And then now mind you, I'm still in church throughout this whole thing. And, it's so funny because I used to make fun of church people, and now I'm doing my ministry and stuff like that the gift the Lord has given me. And oh my God, he just gave me a revelation. That's so crazy. Before I move on, my God. Before I move on, I actually had a dream a long time ago that I was going to be in this very same spot talking to you guys about my testimony. Wow, that's crazy. See, the Lord know what he be doing. But anyway, moving on. What I was about to say, I didn't forgot. Yeah, 14 years old was when my life started to take a toll. And what I mean by that is, it really my mind started to come into wisdom of what happened to me. And, that's when the devil was like, okay, I got her. I'm finna step in. So, the first time, the devil came and spoke to me. He was like, I want you to come serve me. I want you to come be with me. And I'm looking around like, who in the world is that talk? Like, who is that talking to me? Like, what is you doing? So, and me, of course, being young and not having the wisdom that I have now, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll come. I was already angry, you know. I was already full of unforgiveness, and it's like the enemy took advantage of that. So, um, so it's crazy because, and it's hard to talk about this because I'm very shameful of my past, and the Lord was like, you don't need to be shameful. Like, people, this is part of your story. I knew you were going to do this anyway. You know, what you went through wasn't just for you. It was for other people, to let them know that they can get out of whatever situation they're in, whether it's the same situation or whether it's a different situation. And the Lord was telling me, never be ashamed of what you went through. Never be ashamed of what you overcame. You never know how they could help somebody. You never know how your testimony can deliver somebody. So I was like, okay, God, well, I'm gonna need you to help me. I'm gonna need you to be here with me. So, you know, and 14 and 15 was really when the devil took a hold of me. Now, mind you, at 10 years old, this wasn't the first time that the devil approached me about something. At 10 years old, that's when I got dibbled and dabbed in pornography and stuff like that. And it's like the devil gripped me with that. You know, I've been dealing with pornography since 10 years old, and I'm just now getting delivered from it. Like, I've been dealing with it for a very, very long time. So 14, 15, the devil was like, okay, I want you to come serve me. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll come serve you. And so, mind you, this is all happening while I'm in church. No one knew. No one knew. I kept it to myself. And, you know, one night I was sitting in my room. It was dark. And he was like, well, I have an assignment for you. You know, while you're serving me, I have an assignment for you. And I'm like, okay, what's the assignment? And he was like, your job is to terrorize Christians. And I was like, okay, how do I do that? And he showed me how the enemy, demons and spirits, terrorize Christians. And I was like, okay. So it's like, I used to have a little notebook full of names that he would give me. And I would have tally marks by them, you know, and the tally marks represent how many times that the terrorizing or the temptation that they fell into, how many times they did it. So it's like I was keeping record of it. Now, mind you, everything that the devil does is a replica of what God does. You know how God has a record, the Lamb's Book of Life, where he records the names and stuff like that. The enemy has that too. Everything that God made up, the enemy is going to copy off of it. So, I used to keep a little notebook full of names of, you know, and tally marks by them about, you know, what I just said. And, like I said, I'm full of anger. I am full of anger. So it's like the devil was feeding off of my anger. That's why it's very, very important to watch what you have in your heart, because you could be wondering why I'm going through certain things or why the enemy keep attacking me. You need to look in your heart. You don't know what the devil is feeding off of you. And you're just so wondering like why you keep getting attacked. Why the devil keep bothering you. You need to check your heart, because the enemy was feeding off of my anger. The enemy was feeding off of my unforgiveness and stuff like that. I already didn't grow up in a loving home. You know, something happened to me, and it's like I didn't feel like nobody was on my side. I didn't feel like no one cared for me. So at 14, he had me doing that. I got into witchcraft. I got into the cards. I got into the crystals. I was really big into crystals. than the cards. So it's like the devil was like, he was gripping me. He was pulling me every which way. And I didn't think none of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get them back. I'm gonna curse them, and and stuff like that. And another night, I was sitting in my room at 15. The enemy came in my ear again. He was like, I want you to come be with me physically in hell. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, no one really cares about you on this earth. No one cares about you. So you might as well come be with me, your father. And it makes me cringe saying this, but I remember being in school. Like at this time, I'm in high school, in middle school. I remember telling people that the devil was my father. Like, that's how much of a grip he had on me. Like, it just so cringe me thinking about that now. How I used to tell people that the devil was my father. And, during this night, while he's talking to me about this, he began to send suicidal spirits to me. And he was like, you should just yourself. And I'm like, I'm already dealing with it. So it's like the first time that I tried to off myself, he was like, come home to me. Come home to me. Like, I can make you powerful. You're going to have your own section. Like, you're already done doing such good work on earth. Like, just imagine, I'll put you over many, sound familiar? And so I was finna get ready to do it. And that was the first time I ever heard God's voice very clearly. And the Lord was like, right when I was about to do it, he said, I love you, my daughter. He said, you have a purpose on this earth. Let me show you. And then it's like, it was quiet. The voices in my head, everything was just quiet. It's like a peace came over me. And that was the first time I ever heard God's voice clearly. And I was like, wow. It's like, who in the world is that? Like, I knew who it was, but I didn't know who it was. Because my mind was still trying to wrap around like this still comforting, deep voice talking to me. So I went and laid back down and I went to sleep. Fast forward to 16, 17, the enemy's still trying to get me to off myself. I mean, they're at this point, I'm filled with many spirits. I'm filled with many demons because that was my assignment, to terrorize Christians. And so I'm steady doing that and into my witchcraft and stuff like that. And it got worse. It got worse. Second time, I mean, screams was just in my head. I just wanted to, I just wanted it to be quiet. Like, there were so many spirits and demons in my head screaming, you should die. You should die. No one cares about you. No one wants you here. I want you here. I want you here with me in hell. And I'm like, please hush. Like, please get out of my head. Now, mind you, I'm still in church while all of this stuff is going on, and there's like a war between my spirit and my flesh. Like my flesh keep pulling me over here, my spirit keep pulling me over here. And it's like I would get mad while being in church. Like I couldn't stand being in church. And at this point, literally, like at one point, I became an atheist. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in heaven. I didn't believe in hell. Even though I had all these demons talking to me in my head, I didn't believe in none of that, you know? And it gripped a hold on me. And I'm like, what is going on with me? I didn't understand. And I already felt like I couldn't come to anybody. So I really didn't understand. So I had to deal with all of that at once. And fast forward to 17, I'm halfway through high school. Now, mind you, around 15, 16, and 17, I hated men. I had a hatred for men. I had hate in my heart. And the devil took advantage of that. I didn't want to be around a man. I didn't want to had any association with a man because of what happened to me. And so that's when homosexuality began to take over my mind, began to take over my body. And I would only date women. I would only look at women. If a man passed by me, I wouldn't even see them. It's like my eyes would go black. And people think it's a joke, but it's very, very serious, these spirits and stuff like that. That's why it's very important to check your heart. Stop just saying stuff out of your mouth. You need to check your heart. If you wanna go live for Jesus, make sure you say, God, clean my heart, because the enemy can see if you have hate in your heart. The enemy can see if you have unforgiveness in your heart, you know, and stuff like that. And so between the ages of 15 and 22, I dated nothing but women. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to let go. I'm telling you, it grabbed a hold onto me. But you got to remember that no sin is harder. No sin is greater. The power of God and the power of Jesus can break anything. It can break anything. And I thank God. I thank God for bringing me out of that place. But fast forward to 17, it was one particular night that the enemy wanted me to do an assignment. And he approached me. Now, mind you, around this time, I couldn't stand light, like literally, like no joking. I couldn't stand being in light. Like I used to get ready in the dark. And as soon as I turned on the light, the spirits on the inside of me would scream and I would have to turn it off. And I'm like, I'm looking at the counter like, whoa, what was that? It had gotten so bad. And that's when I started doing self-harm and stuff like that. And it was just so much going on. Like, my childhood really is a blur to me because it wasn't me half of the time. It wasn't me. I wasn't really present during my whole childhood. Like my whole childhood was full of trauma and you know, the enemy trying to take over me and stuff like that. So that's why it's very, very important to pray for your children, because you never know what they're going through and stuff like that. The enemy likes to grab a hold of children to get them while they're at that stage where they really don't understand about the spiritual world and stuff like that. And that's why he attacks them very much. So you want to make sure that you're covering your children in prayer and stuff like that always. So he told me to do this one particular assignment. And when he told me, I was like, are you crazy? I'm not doing that. And he was like, you will do it. You will do it, or else. And I'm like, okay. So I'm on my way to do it. And it's like, I heard God's voice. He was like, don't do it. You don't want to do this. This is not what I have for you. This is not the purpose that I have for you. Don't do it. Turn around. And so I'm literally fighting. I'm literally fighting at this point. Like, no one knows what's going on. Like, I'm literally fighting my flesh and my spirit at the same time. So I ended up turning around, and the enemy is mad. He's like, no. That's all I hear. It's like, no. Like, my ears are ringing. He was mad. So I'm in the room. He was like, okay, you disobeyed me. When I tell you guys, that was one of the worst nights I ever went through. The enemy terrorized me so much. I didn't even want to come out my room. I was so scared. And around that time, around my teenage years, I used to deal with sleep paralysis. And if you don't know what that is when it looks like you're asleep, but you're actually woke. But it's actually a demon or a spirit that's causing that. And so I'm looking at the foot of my bed, and I see a 6-foot demon sitting there staring right at me. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, I used to wake up with scratches and bruises on me and stuff like that. And I'm like, where's this stuff coming from? Not knowing all of this is connected. All of this is spiritual, about what's happening to me, and stuff like that. And that was one of the worst nights of my life. And that is when I was like, I've got to cry out to the Lord. Like, who wants to serve somebody like this? If you don't follow through with an assignment, he's terrorizing you for days. He's already telling you to yourself, I don't want to serve nobody like that. Like, no. And then I'm hearing all of this wonderful stuff about Jesus, how he loves you. And even if you make a mistake, he still loves you. He just wants you to do better. He gives you peace. He gives you joy. Because I'm going to church at the same time. And I'm like, I don't want to serve nobody like that. And so, like, I think it was, I ended up going to church like 2 or 3 days after that. And I said, I've got to get these demons off of me. I don't want to serve nobody like that. Like, this isn't what it's cracked up to be. Serving the enemy, serving this world is not what it's all cracked up to be. I'm miserable. I'm getting terrorized every night. No, this is not fun. This isn't fun. So, fast forward to 18, 19. Now, mind you, I'm still in a relationship with a woman. Like I said, that was one of the hardest and toughest battles that I had to give up to give to Jesus. So I graduated high school. I done moved away from high school. I mean, not high school. I done moved away from my hometown and stuff because I just wanted to get away from everybody. And, before that, I went to church and I went to the altar. And I'm like, I'm crying out to God. God, please save me. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, save me. I don't want to deal with any of this stuff anymore. Like, this is too much for me. I already have stuff going on. And it's like, God gave me a peace. He didn't save me that day, but God gave me a peace and stuff like that. And what I meant by that is, I was only at the altar for like 3 minutes, like, because the demons in me couldn't stand to be at the altar, couldn't stand me crying out to God. So it's like, I had to leave from there. Like, I didn't give God an opportunity to save me, even though I was saying some of that stuff and stuff like that. I didn't give him an opportunity to come into my heart to clean everything out. And moved away from my hometown, still running away from God. I was one of those ones, still running away from God like Jonah did. And depression, suicidal thoughts, self-harm really just began to take over me. Everything was taking over me at this point. And I was like, something has to give, something has to change. Like, ooh, Lord, I can't keep going through this. So fast forward, I moved to Texas. And then from Texas, I moved to Florida and stuff like that. And then, it's like the enemy. At this point, I'm very lukewarm. Like I said, I knew of God. I just didn't have a relationship with him. So in the back of my mind, I will always say these little prayers like, Lord, please put me on a path that you want me to be on. Please put me on a path that is pleasing to you. But I would never like allow him to come into my heart. And so ended up moving to Florida, and I ended up getting into one of the worst relationships of my life. It dealt with a lot of verbal abuse, physical abuse, putting down some of the stuff I was doing as well. And it's just, that was a very hard relationship that I had to get out of. And it was just a lot of struggle with trying to find my identity in Christ and trying to also live for the world and the devil and stuff like that. And fast forward, finally got out of the relationship just to go into another one. And oh, Lord Jesus. Then at one point I was like, I remember it was 2022 and I ended up breaking up with the person that I was with. And I remember it was at night and I was outside and I looked up at the sky. I said, you know what, God, I am tired. I said, I am tired of doing stuff my own way, because I was the one, I was going to control everything. I'm a planner. I'm an organizer. I like to have stuff in certain place. I like to get to this place at a certain time. This is the itinerary. Like, that's how I was. I'm still that way, but I allow God to take over. Like, I'm still a planner when I need to be a planner, but you know. And I looked up at the sky and I said, Lord, I surrender. I said, Lord, I surrender. I am tired of this. You got it. I said, you got my life. And all I could feel was God smiling at me. He was like, I've been waiting on you. He was like, I've been waiting, you know, and stuff like that. He was like, welcome home. And so, this was my isolation period and my wilderness period. You know, in 2022, God had to humble me. As soon as I said that I wanted to surrender to him, God stripped me from my house, my car, my job, the relationship I was in, and he was just stripping me of everything, friends, everything. And so I'm like, what is going on? But in the back of my mind, it's like I knew what was going on, but I'm like, okay, what's going on? And stuff like that. And I ended up having to move back in with one of my parents. And boy, so started my isolation period. I'm like, okay, God, what we doing next? What we doing next? And it's like, for an entire year, he was just shaping me and molding me and getting rid of demons and spirits and you know, cleaning out my heart, getting rid of the hate. He was telling me the people that I needed to forgive and, you know, and all of this kind of stuff. He was just cleaning me out. And I thank God for that. I thank God for humbling me. I thank God for taking the things away that I worship, that I put before him, you know, and stuff like that. I thank God for all of that stuff. And, you know, during that time of my teenage years, I remember, because God just brought it back to my remembrance. Thank you. I remember driving to a tattoo shop because I was so deep in the devil. I was finna get the symbol 666 across my chest, like literally. And I remember a police officer stopped me for some reason out of nowhere, and it kind of like deterred my focus off of that tattoo shop because the Lord knew where he was taking me, you know, and stuff like that. And I'm so glad I didn't do it. I'm so glad I didn't do it. You know, and stuff like that. So thank God for that. And, you know, the Lord just began to clean up my heart, you know, and I began to cry out to God, you know, and stuff like that. And man, he's amazing. He is amazing. And he began to teach me what a true relationship in him was. And I really, really appreciate that. I really, really thank him for that. And I began to step into my purpose of, because I'm a talker, hence why I have a YouTube, but I am a talker. So the Lord was like, I'm preparing you for what your purpose is. I'm preparing you for you. And he's still preparing me to this day. I'm still in my wilderness season. I'm just at the end of it, hopefully. But he's been preparing me to talk to you guys and stuff like that, to help, because I've always had a passion to help people. So I love talking. I love helping people. I love bringing people to Christ. I love just even putting a smile on or making someone laugh, you know, for them to have a better day and stuff like that. And yeah, that is how I became fully surrendered to Christ. Like me and God is like locked in. I love God. I love him so much with all my heart. I'm in love with Jesus. I am just on fire for God. Like and the enemy, he tries to come mess with me all the time because he's mad. He's mad that he doesn't have his troop anymore. He's mad. And that's okay, because Jesus made me glad. Okay. So, you know, it was a lot of stuff. Like, it was a lot of stuff that I had to deal with, but by the grace of God, you know, the Lord saved me. He gave me mercy and stuff like that, you know, and I just really, really thank him. I really, really thank him for him still wanting me, because I didn't think he wanted me. After all the stuff that I did, I didn't think he wanted me, you know, and stuff like that. But the Lord was like, no, I want you. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter the mistakes you made. It doesn't matter what you felt like was right or felt good to you. If you want to come to Jesus and you're tired of it, he wants you. He wants to fulfill that empty space in your heart. He wants to fulfill that hole in your heart that you keep filling with other things and you're not getting satisfied. He wants you to come to him. He loves you, you know, and stuff like that. Like, you're his children. He wants his children to come home. He wants to give you a big hug. He wants to fill you with love. He wants to fill you with the blessings that he's already laid out for you. Like me, literally, I'm walking into the blessings that he had for me. And it's like when you really get close to God and you really start to get locked in with God, you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, really? But the enemy, he doesn't want you to see that. So he's going to distract you with all kind of things because he doesn't want you to see the glory and the peace and the love and the joy and the happiness and the blessings that God has already lined up for you. So yeah, like, so now I am fully surrendered. I am doing my purpose. I'm walking with the Lord, and I just love it. It was the best decision that I could have ever made in my life. It was the best decision. Was it easy? No, sir, it was not easy, because when you're dying to your flesh, that's never easy. That is painful, but it's rewarding in the end. It's rewarding in the end. Oh my God. And I feel the presence of God all around me right now. Like, oh my God, like that right there is worth anything. It's worth anything. I will drop whatever just to feel God's presence like I do in this moment right now. And it's just amazing. He's just amazing. He has completely changed my life around. I am not the same anymore. Like I said, I'm walking into my blessings, and I just thank God for that. So I hope you was blessed by that. Like I said, remember that the Lord loves you. He wants you, and you are not too far gone. Do not believe that lie from the enemy. And so, yeah, so I really hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.